So today is part 2 or day 2 of visualization. So we started with step 3, visualize, that you guys wrote in your reader's notebook. And we read scarecrow, remember? And we drew our scarecrows based off of the descriptions as I read. So right now in your reader's notebook, you're gonna add part 2. So you're gonna write it right under where it says step 3. Part 2 is where we're gonna simplify this. It's going to help us use details as we are finding what our visualization pictures are going to look like. We're gonna do an example in class today with Percy Jackson, and I'm gonna go over with you what that's going to look like so that we can practice it, okay? So it's kind of like a T-chart, all right? And on this side, if you're looking at it, the left-hand side, if you're not looking at it, the right-hand side, is draw it. So go ahead and label draw it, and then on the other side, it's list it. So on the draw it side, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to sketch pictures to represent what you see in your mind. And then on the list it side is where words, phrases, and sentences from the text that sparked the visual. And I'm gonna do an example. So you need to copy this kind of T-chart. If you need to move up closer so you can see it, that's fine. But you have your draw it and you have your list it. So go ahead and add that right now. I'm going to zoom the video in just a little bit so that you can see the visualize, the draw it, and sketch it. Okay. So once you have that, you can put your reader's notebook away. You do not need your reader's notebook any longer. So you can go ahead and just put it away because that's where we're keeping everything, right, for our steps. We are going to, as soon as we're done with Lightning Thief, we're going to move on to a different study, a different genre of what we're going to be studying, but we're going to continue using these steps in everything we do. So it's important that you know what they are. Okay, so you have your white piece of paper that I gave you guys that you drew your scarecrow on. So now that it's flipped over, it should be blank. You're going to draw a line straight down the middle. And my line is crooked, it's not a big deal, right? And then you draw 3 lines that are going vertically so that you end up with 8 boxes. So it should look something like this. It should look something like this. And then you're going to label it just like our T-chart is labeled. Draw it, list it. So just kind of small here. Draw it, list it. So I'll just give you a minute to do that. Again, your lines and your boxes don't have to be perfect. We are actually going to do this in class, and then at the end, we're gonna submit it on Canvas. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna start submitting our classwork, and it's gonna be an easy 20 points. Easy 20 points. So if you are in class and you do what you're supposed to, boom, easy 20 out of 20, right? Some of you guys can really use that to help boost your grades. Others of you have really good grades, so it'll just boost it even more. Thumbs up if you guys are good and we can move on. Thumbs down if you need just another few seconds. Good? Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna do an example. You don't have to do anything right now. I'm just gonna do an example. So I'm going to use Scarecrow, which is what we read as a class. So in Scarecrow, they gave us clues all over the place of what things looked like, right? So one of the things that I liked, they gave me a visual, is this page. This might not be what everybody's visual looks like. And to be honest, when you guys are reading, you don't have time to draw all these. If you want, you can. Most of us don't have time to draw these elaborate things. So the words, the list it, is they line up on his arms. I don't need to put the whole sentence. They line up on arms. Because that's the only part of the sentence, that's the phrase that gives me a visual. So what is that visual? Again, I'm not an artist, I'm just sketching it out. So I visualize the scarecrow guy hanging out, because that's literally what scarecrows do, hang out. So here's my little scarecrow, and here are my birds hanging out on his arms. That's it, right? At some point in this story, it talks about his eyes are made out of what? Buttons, right? So, button eyes. So, I have my visual is just my scarecrow. With button eyes, right? Okay, does that make sense? I would then go through and I would continue filling this out. I'd find 2 additional things in the list it and then sketch a picture that it reminds me of. So that's the next step. Because clues in a story, why would we associate pictures and details? Anybody know? Anybody know why we might do that? How many of you sometimes have remembered when you maybe were learning new vocabulary words and you would draw a picture? Like your teacher would have you draw a picture. You draw the word, you write an antonym, you draw a picture. There's a reason us teachers have you draw pictures, not just because we're like, hey, I think we should draw a picture today. It's because our brains process things differently and pictures help us remember things. So by sketching just a little quick picture, it's going to help you remember this detail that you've added. Where do we need details? We need details in the retelling. We need details in supporting our main idea. Details, events are important for our understanding, right? So those details are then going to be in the draw it. Does that make sense? So today, you are going to listen to chapter 16, Percy Jackson, Lightning Thief. I'm gonna play it for you guys. And while you're listening and following along on your iPad, you are going to find 4 details that you're gonna list. So whether it's a word, a phrase, or a sentence, you're gonna list the detail and then you're going to draw it. You're gonna sketch out whatever it is that detail visual is. So that is the step 2 of visualization. Yesterday we did kind of an overall picture, or not yesterday, last time I saw you, an overall picture of visualizing what the scarecrow looked like. Now, here we are visualizing parts of the story because we put parts of the story together to make inferences. Okay, any questions? Yes?